that project. So previously we only supported a Compass WPC to PNG type output, but the thing that's coming with this patch is a whole bunch of extra functionality that we've tested internally to work. So that's pretty much it as far as Compass is concerned.
Hey, Jerry, this is Aaron from Pacer. I just got a quick question in terms of speed, basically, is what how long do you think it'll take to run these macros when Compass is triggered that there's a text file?
Several seconds, not more than 10.
Okay.
And as actually it checks out a Compass license while it does it, and then it checks it back. Now, I haven't been specific about what Compass license. It'll just check out whatever Compass license is available.
Yeah, and I think what we're planning on doing with that, Jerry, is actually purchasing another full version of Compass so that this auto survey program has a dedicated license, that it's just in case, because we have some licenses that have anti-collision and some basic licenses. So I think what we're going to do is purchase one so the auto survey program will have a dedicated license at all times.
Yeah, I mean, whoever manages this workflow or writes the macros would be advised to run them one by one, back to back, rather than synchronously. Otherwise, strange things could happen. So that's just something to keep in mind. I mean, given that it's several seconds and, I don't know how many jobs you've got going on at the same time, maybe 20, then, that could maybe take up to, it could be half an hour or something if you're running all back to back.
That's kind of what I was getting at, is if Compass is being kind of, for morning report time, we've been up into the mid-60s for jobs, all coming in kind of simultaneous. It's one of those that I'm a little concerned about, that something will get hung up, different text files don't get imported, that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, as part of this, there'll have to be some sort of job management system. So, like a stack of pending requests, and you could run it in for every single import. You generate the necessary outputs in a single Compass transaction. So that's possible. So you don't have to keep going backwards and forwards. But so for every job, you only need to run Compass once, or the command line. So, and then it dumps the files, and then you can issue them as required.
Okay.
So Prime would probably just immediately send the email.
Yeah.
It would be up to this thing to figure out how to handle them all. I wouldn't write Prime to throttle the emails, because that shouldn't be my concern. I should just be like, here's the request, build me the thing.
Yeah.
How they manage my request or whatever that.
Yeah, the job. That's what he was talking about, job management. It would just basically.
So that's kind of something on your guys' side, that the job management system will be handled as the emails come in?
Yes, so we'll have to create something that basically manages the jobs and puts them in a queue, and so that they just kind of wait until it's their turn to go in.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, obviously, if it ends up being a couple of minutes turnaround time in the busy times in the morning, so be it, obviously, right? Completely acceptable. I just wanted to make sure that we had that in place, because that's one of the concerns of mine, was that we were going to have missed data, or things weren't going to get downloaded, that sort of thing. So, excellent. Thanks.
That's pretty critical to have it so that it just waits its turn. And again, if there's 60 jobs or 60 or 80 jobs coming in, it would just take it, go take its turn to go in and be updated and generating the report.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question. So I know that you guys, so from the Prime database side, are you guys developing something that's going to take data and push it out to the email as well, so that it's also processed? Is that the? And I've read through all this, and I was part of the proposal, helping to create the proposal. But I guess my question was what's Prime? I know Prime database is where you have your information. So. It'll be creating a file that goes into the email as well that would be processed just like a text file or anything that's coming or anything from the rig, or will it come from the rig?
No, so the Prime application already knows how to send emails, already has all the survey data. Basically, a guy in the field is going to click a button and say, like, hey, I want this report. I'm just going to package it up in whatever format you guys want it in, and then send you the email.
Perfect.
And yeah.
That was the information I was looking for. So that's great.
Yeah, the only one that when Roy and I were talking that I know Jerry had said that for the annotations, I'm not sure if we'll be able to put the annotations in a line, or if we'll be able to have like almost like a list of surveys and then a list of annotations. Do you guys feel that's going to be an issue?
This is Jerry. I'd have to do a little rewrite, but it's not particularly difficult.
Excellent. Okay. Thanks, Jerry.
Just so I'm clear, are annotations just like the comment? Oh, okay. That's not.
Okay.
Survey. There we go. That's not just like these comments?
No. All we're going to do is just batch the critical points. And that's what I'm saying. We might add a couple more columns.
Right.
Critical points, and we'll just do it that way.
Okay.
Then we'll still do finals manually. So we'll be able to take it all off the DD's reports and all that for the final surveys, but at least we've got our critical points for daily update statements.
Okay.
And just
Donna, I have a question.
yes.
Will Pacesetter have the available their recording for them to check it in case they need to also check on the discussion point here?
Yes, I will provide that to you guys.
Great.
And just to confirm, obviously when we were putting the proposal together a month or so ago, we were talking about that the survey report PDF, it needs to be based on y'all Pacesetter's crystal report template. Obviously we'll need to get that from you, and so a follow-up email to summarize what we've covered today in the workshop will include a list of things, action items, and what we need. Obviously it'll include any of the PDF format, survey plots, and if you guys are developing that, that's fine. But we can just put when we expect to get them and at what point in the workflow we need them, so we can put some timelines there and understand where the dependencies.
Yeah, no problem. We can give you those.
Okay. So John Dugai, you're on the line. Do you have any questions? John,
Sorry,
are you on
I'm
mute? That's
having
okay.
trouble finding
That's okay.
the right window. I apologize.
That's okay.
No, I guess the only real question I have is that the attachments are going to be an email that need to be read back out and then passed to Compass, or the other way around?
So the Compass will get an email, a text file, or whatever format you guys are comfortable with from us. And then what we're hoping essentially is that it's going to export those 5 different files, and then we'll email them out on our end.
Yeah, so they'll go through your process and then be emailed out to your partners. Saved
Yeah,
your
based
folder.
on
And so the email that I'll be getting will be to queue up and send the parameters that I'm assuming they're going to be in the text file somehow off to the to Jerry's application so they can generate those files. Correct?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah. And then, but you won't need to worry about a emailer at the end.
Yeah, you guys.
I just have to extract it from from the email coming in.
You bet. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's what I needed to know.
Yeah, so we'll save it. It'll be saved out of when it moves out of Compass. It'll be saved to a folder. Pacesetter is going to be responsible for taking that and getting it generated to their partners. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
The reason why we're going to handle that on our end is that we're actually going to be driving it to different end users, if you will. So depending, we're going to have multiple buttons that will trigger basically, the surveys, are they going to come back just to the person that requested them? Is it going to go to a distribution list for our client? That sort of thing. But from your end, the email will still be survey, the same text file being sent that triggers the Compass to execute the macros, and then the input will still be the same of the 5 files, and then we'll figure out where they go at the end.
Yeah, so it'll be wrapped up and then pushed into a folder or whatever file location you guys wanted, and then you guys take it from there.
You bet. Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments to make at this point?
The one I just had was things like side tracks or multi-leg laterals, that sort of thing. As long as the labeling, so to speak, is going to have to be kind of talked about between Compass and Prime, as long as the naming is correct. Do you guys see any problems with importing surveys to the right leg, so to speak?
The connection there is the UWI. So the well planner has to go into Compass and put that UWI in the wellbore so that it's now recognized. One of the problems that may happen is if you have an unplanned sidetrack, like overnight, and the directional driller starts putting surveys in on that. How does that get recognized? Because we just have a target wellbore and nobody's created a new target wellbore in Compass.
Right.
So that might be a management issue or something the well planner will have to sort out. Or may need manual maintenance unless we build a protocol for that. It could be complicated.
Yeah, no, and we kind of talked about this the first time a bit. Well, not quite about this, but that the well planner will have to set up a definitive survey at the start of the job for it to import, right, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, it will actually import a survey into an empty wellbore and create the definitive survey if none already exists. But the wellbore has to exist. It's obviously nice if the plan exists because then we can do distance from plan calculations,
right,
and so on. But yeah, I built it to be fairly robust. If it doesn't exist.
Okay. Excellent.
Are there any other scenarios that we need to talk through specifically related to anything that might, obviously on the required data, UWI, anything that scenarios that we could think of that might come up that we need to work on it and figure out how to deal with that?
Yeah, so we can put everything in the UWI field, so to speak, in Compass. But just so everybody knows, we'll be running off of job numbers instead of the UWI itself.
It doesn't matter so long as it's unique in the database.
Yeah, you bet. And that's something that, Rory and I will have to kind of figure out. on our end so that Compass will match Prime so that it can be recognized is kind of what I'm thinking.
Jerry, this is Greg Ham. Just to clarify, so if there's an existing survey for a UWI and the tool is run and the survey comes in, it's going to overwrite what is existing, correct?
Yes,
for
it
that,
will
for that
overwrite
depth range, for the depth range.
Yeah, it will overwrite any stations that are in the import survey. If there are stations above the import, it won't overwrite those. I mean, the rule that I made was that if the file name remains the same, it'll always write to the same survey. If you change the file name, importing into Compass, it'll actually create a new survey and try and tie it on. So there's a file name dependence in there.
But if there's an overlap, the new survey will take precedent over the old.
It'll try and tie on at the start station somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we're going to have to exercise this a bit. There's going to be a few nuances that might challenge us.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to get out of the workshop is something that we may not have thought about that we can at least take note of, and we can be a little bit ahead of the game of knowing we need to address that and look at how that's going to impact the workflow and what we need to do to mitigate any issues.
Because what I'd like to see happen is that essentially it wipes yesterday's out and puts the new ones in. I'm just a little concerned that sometimes the DDs will maybe have an extrapolation or, some sort of, surveys don't change all the time, but we know that they do change from time to time. So, not just tying in at a random measure depth, but almost at zero, it's wiped clean and almost overwritten, I guess, each day is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a challenge for your well planners as well. When you're automating it, there's relatively little QA or QC before that survey goes into Compass. If you've got in mind any rules you want me to apply to that, then I'll take that on.
Okay.
Yeah, so from the Pacesetter side, if you guys can put a list of rules and things that need to be considered so that once Jerry goes back to make modifications to the patch, we'll make sure we include as many things as possible. Obviously, there may be some things that come up, but and I suspect that once we get all the information, we probably need to basically circulate it back to you guys and have you take a look to make sure we haven't forgotten anything, or if there's any questions, or what we've translated to how we think it should be. If you guys think that we're not quite understanding, just let us know before we start making hard code changes to the patch, because obviously it does take a few days to get it commercialized officially once it's ready for production. So we want to make sure we take as many things into account and basically mitigate any having to rewrite the patch at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's no problem, Donna. The two main things that we kind of had that Daniel and I have talked about before is that it has the ability to put the annotations in and that it overwrites.
Okay.
I just want to make sure the right surveys are going out each day. Those are,
got it.
it's pretty short list, but
Yep.
It's kind of the couple of things that we've seen up front that might be concerning, I guess.
Yeah. So from our side, we'll put together any kind of scenarios or any kind of workflows that we need from you guys, or which you need to understand that might need to happen to make all this go smoothly. So, okay.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a two-way street for sure.
Yes, sir.
We certainly don't want to make your guys' life any harder than it has to be. So, if there's a small tweak or something on our end that, makes this flow smoother, and let's do it.
Sounds good. Jerry, do you have any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I mean, when it does anti-collision and things like that, what it tries to do is look for the matching depth on the plan, and then it'll take the tool code off the plan. You know, so if it's a standard MWD uncorrected and so on, so that's one of the features. The only thing now is I'll make a quick modification to accept annotations at the end of the survey, so it'll just be a line, it'll be a single depth and then some text, and so there could be several lines at the end. That's about it.
Okay. All right, so from the Pacesetter side, do you guys have any questions, concerns, things you may want to discuss at this time?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going the right way. I mean, there's going to be a whole lot of emails flying around, I think, but I think we're going the right way.
I agree, and I think there probably will be, but once we get I would say the first prototype of everything put together, ready for testing, excuse me. So that was another thing is, so from your side, and we can get this list later, but obviously the same people that we were just talking about will probably be part of the testing process as well. But I assume that we will, any data come in from Rick, we would set up what that testing workflow looks like as well, and get you guys to agree, that we're testing everything that we need to understand that once we go into production, again, mitigate anything that might impact the smooth process of the automation of the reports.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, anybody here have any questions? No? Okay. John DeGod, do you have any other questions?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. So I'll go back and put the minutes to the meeting together and share with, the recordings with you guys as well. And then we'll get together on our side and start. I'll put the plan together for the project itself. Update the plan and update the. I know we had in the work order itself. We had the timeline. So we'll take that now that we've got the information from today's call, and update the actual project plan and also the milestones and everything. And obviously the roles and what we need from you guys, and we'll probably have another quick session. Well, it may not be quick, but we'll have another session to go through that to make sure that we're not missing anything there, and get this thing kicked off. I expect to have this ready, the project plan, in the next couple of days. I'll send it send it over to Daniel and let him take a look as well. Obviously, I know he's been working with you guys extensively, and then make sure that there's no gotchas there before we have a meeting with everybody that's in this call to kind of go through everything and walk through the steps and make sure we've taken everything into consideration. Is that good with you guys?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So I think we have everything we have. We'll go ahead and start getting working on the project plan and the notes of today's meeting. And obviously, if you guys have any questions, you can just reach directly out to Daniel. But we'll also put a list of the contacts that you can contact directly in the North American practice team. And looking forward to a successful engagement with you guys and helping to resolve your problem.
You betcha. Looking forward to it as well, for sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.